No, it's fine. It's wide angle.
As usual. Good evening, and again, everyone here at Parkside. This is the July members meeting, 2015. Bit of a short agenda, I think, today. We've got some presentations as we normally do. There isn't heaps of news from committee or any other big news. We did have an ASLAN last weekend. We haven't got a report about what happened there yet. I don't think anyone's present from there either. Do we have anyone? No.
Just the door prize?
So we'll give you a review on that next month, ideally.
Is that not close?
Other than that, we got a presentation from Sean tonight, who has prepared
as usual,
something
very prepared.
on
Good
background
evening,
information on
and
what to do
welcome
when you
again,
want to
everyone.
connect.
We're here
And
at Parkside. This
we haven't
is
really done one of those
the
in a while,
July
so
members
that'll be a bit
meeting,
more,
2015.
Back how we
Bit
used
of a
to do
short
things,
agenda, I think, today.
but
We've got some
it's changed a
presentations
lot.
as we normally
have
do.
a lot of different
There
hardware
isn't
these
heaps of
days,
news from
this
committee or
all-in-one type
any other big
units,
news.
so,
We did have an
you know,
ASLAN
thought we
last
should revamp
weekend.
the
We haven't got
procedure
a report
and
about
give you
what
guys an
happened there
update
yet.
on what is the latest technology
I don't
that
think
we're
anyone's
using for
present from
client
there
connections.
either. Do we have anyone?
I'm
Just the door
sure
prize?
Sean will touch on
So we'll give you a
the core
review on that
network
next
as well,
month,
and how much of
ideally.
that has
Is that
changed.
not close? Other than that, we got a presentation from
The
Sean,
kind of equipment we use,
who has,
as always,
usual,
something
very
on
prepared.
trying to expand
Good evening,
information on
and
what to do
welcome
with,
again,
getting
everyone.
new members.
We're here at
We haven't,
Parkside. This
we haven't
is
really done those
the
in a while,
July
so
members
that'll be
meeting,
exciting.
2015.
It's always back to know
back
what
how we
to
used to
do
do short
things.
agenda, I think, today.
but
We've got some
it's changed a lot,
presentations as
so
we normally
can
do.
different
Some news from committee or
all-in-one
any
type
other
units,
big news.
so
We did have an ASLAN last weekend. Report about what happened there yet.
and what is the latest, I think, on connections.
Just the door prize?
We'll touch on
So we'll give you a review on that next
well,
month,
and how much of
ideally.
that has
Is that not close? Other than that, we got a presentation from
the kind of
Sean,
equipment we use,
who has,
as always,
usual, very
trying to expand
good evening, and welcome again, everyone.
members.
We're here at Parkside. This is the meeting, 2015.
It's always back to know
Back
what
how we
to
used to
do
do short
things.
agenda, I think, today. We've got some
So
presentations
I'll
as we
start off
normally
with
do.
the
Some news from committee or big news. We did have an ASLAN last weekend. We did have an report about what happened there. Technology touch on. So we'll give you a review on that next month. A presentation
So obviously the next major version is out. There was 5.6
members. We're here
there
at
was a
Parkside. This
security
is the members meeting, 2015.
and there was
Back how we used to do short agenda, I think, today. We've got some presentations as we normally do. There isn't heaps of news, committee or big news. We did have an ASLAN last week. Report about what happened there yet, and technology, present client connections.
generally about 5.6 with 2 C.
So we'll give you a review on that as well, and how much deal that. Other than that, we got a presentation who has always been very prepared and expanding
You'll have
and welcome again, members. We're here at Parkside. This is the July members meeting, 2015.
As for router OS,
Agenda, I think, today. We've got some presentations as we normally do. There isn't heaps of news from committee or any other big news. We did have an ASLAN last weekend. We did have a report about what happened there yet, and technology, present client connections.
generally about 5 to say like DC.
So we'll give you a review on that as well, and how much deal that.
So a lot of progress on Adam's build. Well, I like to think it's a lot of progress. So now we just got to do the documentation. We now know what we want to do. I added it to the new one.
This one or the new one?
The one that's on your computer that you added
Cool,
the first
yeah,
class
there you
on. We have made some progress on it, so if we could
O'Halloran?
scroll down to O'Halloran.
Drag. Does it work?
Probably. There we go.
Where is it?
Just touch. I don't know.
It's here somewhere. Nah, don't work, bro.
No.
Can you plug it in?
I don't know what I plugged in. I plugged in a USB cable.
It's this one.
Yeah, I've got it. Don't worry.
Whatever. So if you click on the node, which is that one, right click and go line of sight to while you're at it. Now, with this top circle, just imagine it's 90 degree and not 120 because for some reason the database on that computer doesn't include all the stuff I added. So for some reason there's no 90 degree sectors in there. But
Yeah, it's a bit old, the data on here.
yeah,
Try my screen again.
no problem. Just go in.
Touch it, Justo. Touch it.
Work. Oh,
Oh my god!
cool.
Don't get too fancy with it.
Wonder how many touches it supports at once. So we basically know where we're going to point our antennas roughly. So for expected coverage, you guys will be able to know now where we're going to be getting in. So first off is our backbone link, which is this link here, which is going out to Highgate Park. Can you mouse over the sidebar? And test 2. Sorry, this must be the other one, test 1. So link back to Highgate, which is this one. So that'll be the main backbone for it.
That's pretty sweet.
Pretty good, considering. I don't know what that is.
That's a cabin.
Yeah, cabin. So that's the only planned backbone at this stage, but that could change during our planning period. If you move off that.
Sure.
I can actually. Yep, so we're planning 2 sectors. Now, well, 2 sectors to start off with. There's plenty of room on the tower and there's hopefully plenty of a spectrum, but we'll see what happens. So the first one is this one here, which is going to be pointing out towards the city area here to kind of get the black spot that Cement Hill isn't really covering at the moment. So places like West Beach, you'll be able to see that out towards all the Eastover Gardens and stuff like that and Warradale, hopefully. That's going to be an 8 to 11N sector, 90 degrees pointing out that way. The next one, which I think is pretty exciting, but that's because I'm a network guy. This sector is going to be pointing out to cover the area where we have no coverage. Oops. Can you turn that line of sight stuff off?
No.
Cool.
How do you do that?
I don't know. You made the program.
Smart.
So it's pointing out this way, 120 degrees.
I don't believe there is a way to do it, sorry.
Should turn off when you refresh the page, right? That's all right.
Yeah,
Leave it.
no one wants to wait for that. We'll do line of sight from Pete instead. This thing always does this when you're in the middle of a meeting. Yeah?
It's always at a meeting.
I'm not doing it anymore.
Just zoom in a little bit then for me, just like a little bit.
Zoom in, you should be able to do 2 figures.
Yeah, no, I don't want to zoom in too much. Yeah, that's all right. So the second one's here pointing towards Aberfoyle Park.
Didn't come up.
It's 120 degree sector, so it should cover most of that area there where we don't have coverage. So the center of the sector we're pointing directly across the reservoir. So that should cover all of this, mainly. Now, the thing about that sector is it's going to be an 8 to 11N. It's going to be an 8 to 11 AC sector with a point to multi-point rocket on it. So that's good for 2 reasons. One is that AC has a lot better performance with multi-connection radio things, multi-connections into a radio or on a sector. And it's something else that's kind of a benefit. The dish is a higher gain that you buy for CPE or for client premises. So technically you should see it better considering it's further away from mostly everything and be 30 something meters in the air. So that's the progress we've made on that. So it can basically almost guarantee that.
Are you giving your personal guarantee?
Nah, not my personal guarantee. Hat said that we'll be using AC there.
Oh yeah.
Nah. It's most likely probably 80% certain that we'll use AC on that sector unless something deal breaker comes up. Yeah, so if anyone's looking for equipment, that's what you should start looking at. That's all I have on O'Halloran Hill. Anyone have any questions about that? So we're at the document stage, we're just going to do our documentation and we should be getting there soon.
Mm-hmm. Has anyone put that new guy in that was down there?
What's this link?
Yeah.
Across the ocean.
Oh yeah, that's alright, that one. I don't actually know.
That's 20 megabit to China.
He was doing this. Do you know who it was? That guy that was on the...
Cool. Excellent. If we can go to Ottaway.
Let me take you there.
I want to see him drop it.
Yeah, you could do it.
I could, but I don't want
I'm reloading it. You can talk while it's reloading.
to. Okay, so obviously a few weeks ago now, we did some upgrades with some AC stuff throughout the weekend. Mainly to help the LCC sites out, but we've got few people did some personal upgrades as well. We had access to the WP. And yeah, so the main problem that we were addressing was the fact that Ottaway is a relay node for LCC Sefton Park to connect to LCC Eagle Farm, which is actually this link here that you can't see. So there. So Ottaway is a relay node for that. Now, the problem we always had with it was co-location interference. So Sefton Park to Ottaway would do 80 megabit, I think it was. I have this written down. Inglewood to Otto, Sefton to Otto. So before I did 40-40 in both directions, in 40 megahertz. Yeah, sure. That was good. And then Single Farm did 30-50 in 20 megahertz. The only issue is that when something was trying to go from Sefton Park to Ingle Farm, it would kill it and do about 5 megabits due to the location interference. And that comes down to a problem with the old rockets where they just raw noise. So when they TX, it kills the other rocket. Well, when one tries to receive, one tries to TX, the TXing one kills the receiving one. So we tried out the new technology with the rocket point-to-points, I believe it was, the AC point-to-points, which actually are internally shielded. They got like a nice, I showed that last meeting, they got a nice shield on the inside. And they also have the new air prism tech from Ubiquiti, which is to help with co-location noise, so noise on site. So that link went from doing that to doing, it does about 80-80 in both directions from site to site in 20 megahertz on less power than it was before. And both sites do about 50 megabits to each other now. There's still a little bit of co-location noise, but that's something you could fix with shielding maybe. I think it's just that it's hitting the other pack walk or the other walk when when the other one's receiving. So, but it's a major improvement, especially for that link. That's what I have on that. While we were there, we upgraded the link from Sefton to Ross Trevor to AC. So that was upgraded. I can't give you any stats on that. I don't have it. Raleigh did some upgrades at his place. He replaced he upgraded his nano bridge to a nano beam M5 and went from 5 receive to 2 send to 10 receive and 5 send. Yep, that's right. He also put up a sector while we were there, and he gets 60-60 to 2 clients on his sector, which is great, which is his parents, which is exactly what he wanted.
Okay.
So that's, we did Sefton Park. So we did Sefton Park Ross Trevor, that's AC now too.
Yep.
I don't have any stats for that. So while we were on the
Also
same
known as
weekend,
undefined.
that's the one. On the same weekend, I did some upgrades of my own. So I upgraded this whole path. Paradise 2 to Paradise, to Devastator to Tringy, all to AC. Which is, so that's from here to here to, that's from there to there to there, then up to Tringy. Upgraded that to all to AC. It used to do 40 megabit in 40 megahertz, or most of it was 40 megahertz. The slowest bit was 40 megabit in 40 megahertz. And it now does 110 megabits all the way through to Tringy on legal power and in 20 megahertz. So that's good. Depending on traffic, but yeah, and weather conditions, of course. Tringy got some upgrades too from a FPA perspective. We upgraded GSPV to AC. That is now doing, before it did 45-45 both ways when I tested, and now it's doing 71-75. And we upgraded Valley View to that air fiber, which I can now give you some stats on. So before it was the air fiber, before we had the air fiber to Valley View.
From where to Valley?
Trinity, so this line here. No, this line.
One of them.
Yep. Before in AC, when it was AC, it did 90 and 70, so 90 to Tringy and 70 from Tringy. It now does, no, in 20. With the air fibre in 20, it does 132 both ways, all the time, no matter what. Does 260 megabit accurate.
That's ridiculous.
With an air fibre on it. So fast. The best thing about the air fibre, I put another device right on top of it and tried to TX from the air fibre while I was receiving on the other. It didn't interfere with it as much as the N gear, and which it should technically because it's on the same frequency, but it didn't as much as it usually does. Link was still usable, and the air fibre is pretty spectrally clean, so it doesn't really leak, which I've gone over before. I didn't actually get a picture, but I was going to show you guys. On the spectrum analysis, you can see the air fibre, and it's literally 2 lines, and it goes up and down. It literally doesn't bleed at all in its 20 megahertz region, which is amazing. Yeah. Yeah, so there is a bandpass in there. Yeah, so it's how Ubiquiti described it to me is that it's 3 levels below carrier gear and 4 levels above the gear that we're using, like in the gear wise in the carrier chain. If that means anything to anyone. I know carrier gear is like you buy, I want this link to do 1 gigabit, and if you point it at it and it connects, it does 1 gigabit. But yeah, so that's about all I have. Yep.
So you've been busy though?
I was busy, and then after that I got bulked up with work and didn't get to do anything.
These things happen.
Priorities.
Very
All
cool,
right.
man. Very cool.
Trust me, I'd
Sorry,
love to do
They
extra
want me at
full
work
time.
already. Alright, that's
Still
awesome,
coming
man.
in tonight, right?
Anyone got any questions for the man while he's up front?
When are you at Trinity next?
When am I at Tringy next?
Yeah.
I need to go there to replace a router, probably, well not a router, but a second router, and recable, I don't know, next month or so.
Like, turn the nano station a little bit.
Yep, I actually did.
Oh, it hasn't helped.
Yeah, has it helped?
Yeah, it's getting better.
Cool. Maybe with the having the air fibre there now, we
When did
can.
you when did you move to nano station?
When I went up there, probably 3 weeks ago now, 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, it's made a difference.
The biggest issue there is Trinity's just,
Yeah.
Trinity's noise is 1.2.4 is
Yes, but
shocking.
your link is now stable even during the daytime. That's
Yeah.
the difference it's made.
If I can try and find some free spectrum for you, so we can put an annotation up for you. Try to. Keyword being try. There's a new scope tower that just moved in, like down here. That's using all the low band. So, yeah, that's what that is, if you're wondering. So that takes out the last, like, I had like 2 channels free. It just bleeds into them now.
So they're just slightly down the hill, aren't
Yeah, they're a lot lower than us, but the Tringy is like, because Tringy gets cut off by the hill, and it just out of it, and it literally hits all of our devices, which is crazy. I should show you an air view. I'll get some air views when I do an air view presentation, maybe.
Any questions from the chat?
Anything else?
No, we're just having a look, see if any questions coming in from the real-time chat on the video feed.
What's the link?
Which don't forget, if you guys are watching this live, you can ask us questions online as well.
The air
now.
fibre.
Link. What's the link? The link length on the air fibre.
Link length?
10Ks.
I can tell you by hovering it. Yeah, 10Ks.
I'll tell you what the device
Actually, that's GSPV, that's ringy. Valley View is about the same, 10Ks. Yeah.
I remember to log into it.
Just
The
really-
air fibre thinks it is 9.489 Ks. Pretty close.
Nah, that's miles off. Yeah, so I was just saying, if you want to catch these streams online and ask us some questions on there, that'll be good as well. We know a lot of people often can't make it along, so you can still ask us while we're here, all in the same place, and then everyone benefits from it.
That's about all of the
Looking good. When's the next network meeting?
the day after our commitment, the 14th.
14. Excellent. So anything else you want to bring up? The next meeting's on the 14th, where they'll be discussing,
Moira Halloran Hill.
Moira Halloran Hill and other things as well, I'm sure. Excellent. Thanks for that, Justo.
No problems.
Man, this is a bad place to put that cable. Alrighty, so Sean, would you like to give us your knowledge and wisdom?
A slideshow thingy.
I can bring your slideshow up, sir. So,
Should work in full screen. I guess we'll find out.
yeah, you
In
should,
theory,
be
I
able, you should
can-
be able to control it as well.
Is it accurate? No, that's terrible. Wow.
Oh, no one said you'd get any accuracy out of it.
This is shocking.
Can I do it?
That's bad. I get better towards the middle. I'll just tap in the middle. Then we'll be alright. Whoop, too far forward. Oh, I should. No, I can't tap backwards, can I?
How are you tapping at all? Just tapping.
It's good in the centre, but shit in the end, at
There.
the bottom and top.
Alright.
Okay. You go, girl.
That's terrible. Is that full screen?
No.
No, it isn't now. You broke it. That's better. Anyway, hello. I'm Sean Zeppel. I am a member of the committee. I've been a member of Airstream for a number of years now. I'm the, I think, secretary is my role.
You think?
Yeah. It's been a while since I checked my role statement. And we thought tonight we would put together a very badly augmented presentation. Airstream splits over 2 lines.
I was just trying to edit that.
That's shocking. I apologise.
Let's
A
just
little,
skip that slide completely. Here we go.
a little updated sort of how-to about what Airstream is for the people who are new and how you actually sort of connect if you are interested in being a part of the networking side of Airstream, because Airstream is more than just a wireless network, but the general focus for the majority of members is to do with the wireless network side. So thought we'd just cover over a bit of what Airstream is, where it's come from and the different types of technology we were using, and covering what we're currently using. And as Justin was explaining earlier, the technology is changing again through the added to 11N to added to 11 AC modulation rates. So we have very similar dishes. All the equipment looks fairly similar, but the technology itself is different. So we're in a transition period again, but all of this is still very applicable to a lot of our sites. Let's see if I can tap. Wahee! Oh, this is going to be good. There we go. So, basic backstory on the few people that aren't aware and haven't visited our amazing website and trawled over the About Us is Airstream's been around since 2002, so we've seen a lot of wireless development change. The guys that sort of founded Airstream really jumped on the back of the very first home sort of wireless kits that existed as the wireless technologies became cheap enough and mass produced enough to allow us to connect. We believe we're still one of the largest community networks in the world. We're going to stake that claim until someone tells us different, so we're still the biggest. And yeah, over 100 nodes now around the place and growing as our push into the south continues, and further north as well. It just keeps on expanding, which is great. 100% community funded still, so all your memberships and barbecues and ASLANs and everything is the only way that Airstream makes any money. So come along to ASLAN and barbecues in the future. The backstories very quickly are the beginnings of wireless in terms of homebrew antennas using full ATX computers with PCI cards to get the connections there, little blinking cursors on old CRT monitors to connect nodes to nodes. So doing what these things do in the little integrated antenna on a very much larger scale, because that's all that was available. So over the years we've been able to reduce the equipment from huge installations down to little routers, network cabling and a dish up on a mast. So the entry level for an Airstream connection now is much, much lower. Where we used to talk about $2,000 for a basic connection, we now spend $2,000 on an entire site with 6 backbones, cabling and everything else. So our client connections are around the quarter of the cost that they used to be, which is fantastic. So some of the homebrew aspect's been lost, but at the same time more people can get into it and have a bit more fun. So that's been quite enjoyable. And as you can see, Troy's been around since forever, so there's many a photo of him doing all sorts of things with old equipment.
You mean that in a good way, though, right?
Of course, yeah, we'll go with that. Too many photos. So, what equipment do we use now? There's still varying levels of equipment out on all of the sites, but essentially the entire of Airstream now is running on integrated antennas. I think there's 1 or 2 grids left with coax going back to a board or computer board style antenna. So essentially the entire of Airstream is integrated components, which are a dish that have a mount point and radio and Ethernet connector all into one. So you throw that up on a mast and just run a network cable down from there, which can be a pre-terminated network cable or some tough cable that we use, which is shielded with a ground wire, and you terminate it on the day. So off-the-shelf components, they're purchased from many of our sponsors and anywhere else online that you can source the Ubiquiti or MikroTik gear. So very simple for anyone to get into Airstream is to just purchase off-the-shelf components. It varies per site and everywhere else you go, so we need to make sure that you are purchasing the right equipment. These are all weather sealed as well, which is one of the big benefits. The older equipment we had to wrap in tape, amalgamating tape to protect against corrosion and everything else. So what we can do is just whack them out in the middle of anywhere, and all of the Ethernet sockets are all enclosed and protected, so that we're never worrying about, even on our sites that are up on the edge of the sea, up at Cement Hill and that, where they get vast amounts of sea breeze, they don't corrode as such unless we've nicked a dish or something and caused intrusions to the metal. We don't have any issues whatsoever. And because they're now all integrated, you don't need any sort of special skills to solder little connections onto a big coax connector, or be able to run coax in a special way, or make sure it doesn't have any bend radius or anything else. Anyone can run a network cable and get up on the roof and connect it to their TV antenna or existing wireless ISP installations like some people. So it's much, much easier to get into membership. So how do you join and get into Airstream? Well, that's really comes back to the membership. Airstream itself is just a community group as such. Anything else on top of that is a bonus. You're joining the Airstream community that has predominantly wireless interests, but varying interests in all sorts of landing elements and barbecues if you're into barbecuing a few snags, and just a general technical group of people that are from all walks of life. So you join yourself to this community, and by gaining access to that, there's various sponsor elements that you can get discounts at online shopping stuff. You get access to the wiki tracker and Airstream members database, NodeDB, so you can see where nodes are and how things connect and plan your next nodes, as well as being able to talk to us, lovely people. The next step for most people is then looking into whether they can actually connect to the network, because generally if you're wanting to join Airstream, not everybody, but most people are wanting to connect to the wireless network and utilize that to their benefit. So doing some of the planning, which can be done through the NodeDB that we've got, through other various online tools, and even just asking people, work out, well, where's my closest nodes, what can I see, am I on a hill, have I got trees around me, what we can see. And that then steps onto the likes of stumbling, which we've had a few members that have purchased some kits recently, which we've covered in some previous Airstream meetings, is the ability to have a couple of little radios on a stick with a battery, run out in the backyard, throw it up 4.5 meters in the air, and do a bit of site surveying, so you can pick up what's around and see what radios actually give you what sort of signals, and whether you need to have a 12-meter telomast in your roof because you live in the middle of the west, or whether something on the bottom of your TV mast is plenty because you live 300 meters from the node. So stumbling gives you some concrete data. And then it's actually purchasing some hardware. So as I was saying, everything is all nicely integrated. So I brought along a couple of the slightly older units, but they look fairly similar now because this is all I had laying around in the back of my car, of some examples of client connection. We do use some of this for backbones between sites as well, but they're a really good starting point for connecting to most of the nodes. These are the Ubiquiti range. There's also some MikroTik designed access points out there as well, and generally you want to match vendor to vendor because you're able to then get access to the proprietary protocols they have. Most of our access points are running on the Ubiquiti gear at this stage because they pulled away for a number of years in a good direction where we had a lot of issues with MikroTik, so we've tended to favour Ubiquiti, but MikroTik equipment is starting to come back as well, so it really depends on your node. But this is what's known as a nano bridge, and the current version is called a nano beam, and essentially it is just a metal dish with a mount. Yeah, there's also power beams as well, and the antenna radio, which, if this is in the right way, that's essentially the entire device. This is just a reflector to ensure that you've got beamforming going on, but that little thing is everything. There's a network cable in the back, there's a reflector in there, there's the radio and electronic components. This does all of your wireless networking. So you could actually just connect with this if you were close enough to your node, but you would obviously want to do a little bit bit better. But essentially you just clip one of those to the roof, and you've probably seen a lot of photos that we put up on the gallery of installations where there's just been a number of these. It's as simple as that. This is a 5 gigahertz nano bridge. For some of the client connections, you're connecting to a 2.4 gig Omni, so you need a 2.4 gig variant, but they look exactly the same. The dipole's just a little bit different shaped. And as I said, then there's the nano beams, the power beams, and then you can step up to air fiber territory if you want to do some very expensive networking. And a lot of the newer ones come with covers as well, or the ray domes to protect against a bit more weather and also to help with wind loading. And then the only other real device you need is something to power it and do some routing, and that's this tiny little box here, which we use at the most of our sites, and we're in the process of upgrading it some because we're running out of ports or CPU power in them. It's a little MikroTik router board. They can power 4 devices straight off the port, so you literally run a network cable out of this up into your dish, and that's it. There's no other injectors going on, there's no other power points required, and this will do all of the routing. This will handle our BGP protocol that we use for all of the networking across Airstream. You can firewall, you can do VPN tunnels and all sorts off of this little tiny box. So these are fantastic, and they're what, $100 now?
Less.
$85, I think. You know, very, very inexpensive. So to be able to give yourself something that's going to power and control your dish or dishes or access points or whatever you've got, as well as handling all of the routing, is sorry, someone's stepping on a cable, I think, before we pull the power and everything. It's a tiny little MikroTik router board. Ubiquiti have a device that's similar to this, their Edge router, which have been beginning to make appearances at some of our sites. This is only 100 megabit, so if you've got more than 100 megabit of Airstream connectivity, suddenly this is the bottleneck. So for most client connections, you're not going to have more than 100 megabits, so this little device is perfect. The Edge routers have been a little bit more expensive, but there's another version coming, like always, technology improvements, that is going to be around this cost, which will be all gigabit. So we're about to get a few of those and do some trials, but we still recommend highly to start with these because they have a GUI interface to configure them. They're very simple and intuitive to work out where spots are, and many Airstream members use these daily, so they can help a lot of people out. So you simply, to connect, plug that thing in, plug a network cable up into your dish, point it, and you're almost done. So an Airstream connection now is vastly easier than it used to be. We would have teams of people arrive at sites to be installing huge masts to handle large dishes, to be crimping coax, to be cutting things and sizing, whereas now you can do all of this yourself. Run up on the roof, run a network cable, and away you go. So, I'm not sure what the next slide is. So we've typically suggested people sort of save the $400 to $500 mark for everything if you need to be getting a mast, some special network cabling, anything else. The nano beams and bridges are about the 130 mark, and this is about the 85 mark. And if you've already got network cabling and a mast, suddenly you're on Airstream for, you know, $250 including a membership. So a very, very low cost entry point now. And quite often a lot of people are selling some older gear as well, so it's possible to actually get in even cheaper than that if cost is a problem. Obviously, we still recommend you ensure whatever masts you're attaching it to are going to be sturdy enough. If you've got some rickety J-pole off the edge of your eave that's already falling off from your TV antenna, adding equipment to it is not going to help. So survey what you've got. Generally, we've recommended people get something up new in the middle of their roof or shed or backyard to ensure that it's designed for something like this with a little heavier wind loading. And as I was saying, where we used to spend $2,000 getting a connection for a client, we generally spend that on a core node now. So the really big nodes that Airstream runs will generally drop, like the O'Halloran Hill site. I think, what's that coming in at, about $1,600?
Yeah, give or take.
So it's not even at the $2,000 mark, and that's going to have the new 802.11 AC access points, backbones around the place, all of the networking and power equipment. So even the core nodes are getting cheaper, which allows us to deploy more core nodes. So really, I guess if we go back, come on, you got it? The big thing is confirming what hardware you need for the nodes you think you can connect to. As I was saying, because of the vendor differences and a few of the different sites, and it depends what frequency you're able to connect in, you really want to just confirm with a few of the other people or access the node database if you have enough knowledge, just to work out what infrastructure you are connecting to. The majority of our access points are Ubiquiti rockets running on sectors, so this dish exactly would work perfectly. if the sector has been upgraded to over 211 AC, or like the new O'Halloran Hill, if it's going to be direct AC, all of this older equipment will not connect. They're just incompatible. So those members connecting will need to purchase an 8 to 11 AC dish from the beginning. The price isn't too much different to this sort of cost. It's a little bit more, but buying the wrong thing first up is going to be a little bit devastating, because then you won't connect to anything. And likewise with a few of the MikroTik devices out there, these will connect, but then you'll lose access to some of the other proprietary protocols and you won't get as efficient connection. So best off just conversing with some people. Once you sign up, say, I think I can see this, get a stumble worked out, that's the right access point, work out what equipment you need, and there's plenty of people that will be able to tell you, because the last thing you want is to get everything up on your roof and work out it's not going to work. So membership, $50 a year, still is $50 a year. It's been that for 12 years now. And there's been thoughts of upping that, but if we can keep the barbecues and Aslans up, then we can hold it at $50 a year. That's going to give you the member discounts at the places. It's going to give you access to the node DB and IP addresses to assign to your node, so that you've got access to the Airstream. You can get access to all of the DNS servers and the maps to see where the nodes are, so you can start planning your stuff. You can then sign into email and IRC directly across the internet for the multi-homed access, so you can chat with people live to work out what's going on. You get voting rights. Being a incorporated body, we have to hold AGMs. We have a committee, so as a paid member, financial member, you can then vote for the new committee as well. So if you get yourself highly involved in the community and work out how things are going, if you're not happy, you can nominate yourself to then sit on the committee if you wish. And of course, the ability to contribute and access to a range of network content. So that's all of the tracker and wiki data. So there's a lot of articles on the wiki on how to connect, how you can set up BGP, all sorts of things. And if you've got your own articles you want to contribute, you can log on and generate content there. And our tracker is for tracking issues across the network. So the network team predominantly use it if they need to be making changes to core nodes, but a lot of other members use it to notify of issues that they're noticing with particular network routes or traffic or access points going up and down. So that's the basic premise on connecting to Airstream. It's really down to where you are, what you can see, ensure you've got the right type of hardware, and then getting that all up on a sturdy mast, plugging it to some very simple networking equipment, and then asking for a hand. If you don't have a full understanding of how networking and routing is, there's plenty of people that have set this stuff up who've been in your position as well, who didn't know anything and have learnt enough through setting up a few Airstream core nodes and other member sites to be able to then connect to Airstream. So we're very much about peer helping. There's a lot of people that are still novice, but they know enough to get you off the ground and get you connected, and then there's some more advanced people who are in this industry that'll tell you more about firewalling and everything else. So there you go. Troy's about to attempt to connect to IRC.
Just let everyone know how to get to that. So.
Well, yeah, if you don't have a membership and you want to talk to some people initially, we have a web chat for IRC so that you could join from the website. It's simply webchat.airstream.org, so that you can air-stream.org, so you can chat with Connector's internet guy. So please, IRC people, be gentle with internet guy. He's a newbie. He just wants to ask a question. It's assuming it's going to work for a minute. So you can then join the IRC briefly and just ask some questions. Say, look, I'm looking at joining. What do I need to do? Who's around? And if you're in some particularly viable area that we're wanting to connect into, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that'll be interested in helping you out. So I think I might close IRC before anything suspicious happens. So the question is over to you. Are there any questions from people who are interested in connecting, or things that we haven't covered? I don't know if there's any other questions on the YouTube chat. They're about 2 minutes in delay, so.
There's one here now. We can have subscriptions.
Subscriptions to.
I'm not sure. I'm not informed now. Considering we have PayPal as a form of payment for membership, any chance of allowing subscriptions?
As in continuous membership subscriptions? I think some of that is coming.
Or monthly
Yeah.
payment?
I believe some payment options are coming with some tweaking that the coders are doing.
In fact, this man here was working on it recently.
There'll be some online payment and authorization and a few bits and pieces, so hold that thought, internet person, whoever you are. I don't know if there's any other questions in there or questions from in the room. We'll still be around afterwards so we can show you hardware and show you pictures on the gallery.
Cool.
So I think that's about it. From,
No, there's nothing more on there that I can see.
nothing constructive at least.
Now. But I think that's a good overview. Yeah.
So yeah, that's check the maps, talk to people.
What map?
Yeah, even if you want to find out about coverage and things, again, the people that are sitting on the IRC chat channel most of the time will know that kind of information off the top of their head. If not, they can get access to it quite easily. So if you're not, if you're not a member yet,
contacting.
if you are a member, or even if you're not, you can always jump in that chat and query about it. And otherwise, email. Email is always good. committee@airstream.org. I think we've got contact information on the website.
Contact us on the website. It's a little tab there. You can.
Yeah, and we're good as the committee. You know, we're good at redirecting people to where they want to go. If there's a particular person you need to get in contact with, we usually know who that best person is for a particular site or a particular area. So that's a good one too.
So yeah, if you're keen, jump on RC web chat or shoot us an email and we can help you out.
I guess while I've got the map up, how far north do you guys go with Reach?
Depends which direction.
Northeast Gorish area.
There's some penetration. It's been a hard area to get to due to the One Tree Hill sort of rise. We've had some, over the time we had some connections out to Two Wells and bits and pieces, but no, I don't believe we've ever had a connection directly in Gawler. Yulebury site, which is activated, but I don't know if that's got anything pointing that direction at the moment. Had some coverage to little spots, but it's sort of on this side of that hill.
It's
So.
not Gawler apparently.
Feels no more, but
There's I don't know if the water tower would quite see, because it's fairly flat up through Main North Road there. Depends which part of Gawler you're in.
Right in the middle. Which makes it pretty hard.
Is that loading or that's
I don't know.
just doing nothing?
It could be.
Just thinking about life.
I don't want to click it again just in case. I think
what kind of view you've got?
Go on, click it.
But sort of eastish, it does rise quite a bit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Calvin Road.
That's not going well.
yeah, because that's the main road and rises right up.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Got access to a 40-metre tower?
Not yet.
Not yet? Alright, just direct one in your backyard. We've got a few people that are out Buckland Parkway and we're hoping to get a link out further north as well and potentially in Lower Light. I'm not sure if Anglevale's online at the moment, but there's potentials for some longer links to get around that hill, but there's nothing. There you go. So this is the nodes that we've got on the Elizabeth Water Tower. They're about 40 metres in the air. And
Look at that, might see Gawler, look at that.
Yeah.
we're getting connections out through here, but there's a lot of trees through this section, so if you're quite low, you're going to have some troubles. I don't know that, I don't have to touch the screen for that to work, fancy. Andrew's Farm, I don't believe, can quite see due to trees. There's a few other nodes. Yulebury being on the side of the hill is okay. So it's worth a stumble, but it's going to be on a fringe reception. It's going to be fairly low signal. And given the traffic of a lot of the people that are on the sector there, you wouldn't be hoping for too much speed, but it would be a connection. If all you really want to do is IRC over Airstream, you'll be fine. But finding some people out here who've got some bigger towers would be your best plan. Find some friends that have got a property somewhere, and you can link out to there and then get back across. You'll have a whole lot more luck.
South, a lot of the links is from a zigzag between the flat and the hills. Same thing
Ish.
could apply out there too, it looks like.
Do you get any access to other providers' towers, like Telstra, any
No.
other providers? Eastco?
Not at this stage.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our equipment is community provided, we don't really have the support base to be able to ensure a tower is going to stay up. So there's really not been any commercial agreements between any sort of other wireless piece, because if they tried to provision someone across one of our towers and a link went down,
Yep.
there's no one on a payroll to then get out there and do some tower fixing.
Yeah, definitely.
Usually tower owners want money for putting equipment up on there, so it's not an option.
We're purely a sponsorship basis, so be worth doing a stumble. There's potential that some of these other smaller nodes that have got 2.4 gig may give you some sort of reception, but it's not going to be fantastic speeds. And of course, the further out this way you go, it's much larger distance, so it's going to be a bit of a problem. But we're keen to get into that area at some stage, but I know a lot of the wireless providers have just dropped fibre into there and then put a tower up because they just cannot get around that hill successfully, because there's just no other infrastructure out here, because that's just all flat there, and that all being hills just really stuffs any line of sight up from the city. So it's probably nice and low noise floor through there, because there's not much infrastructure, but we certainly haven't been able to penetrate yet. Yeah, certainly 2 wells in Anglevale is probably as far north and east that we've been able to get on any of those connections to date. Anything could change. So we're hoping we can get out to Dublin. It'll be
You've got a few friends around you.
slightly hilarious.
All of it, you could connect up each other anyway. And you can have your own cluster out
Yeah, that's
there.
similar to what they're doing out here.
Yeah, like Dublin and Mount
Yeah, I believe
Barker,
they've got
their
the 3
own
nodes
cluster
active.
network.
They're hoping to connect in when we finally get a tower online, but they just set up their own little node base. So they've still got access to all of the right IP addresses and the node databases and all the other technical knowledge that's on the wiki. But they've got their own little cluster that's not yet routed. So they've set up ready so that the day that they can connect out, they'll just appear online. They'll have all the correct subnets, the right BGP, AS numbers, and be ready to go. And it's similar at Mount Barker. I think there's 2 or 3 people there still.
You've got 4 or 5.
Oh, all right, there you go. There's a few more now. They've got their own little cluster, and some of the sites that we've got appearing at Halloran Hill and out at Meadows, we're hoping we can actually get around and come in the back way to
There's another
give us.
cluster down at Mount Gambier.
Yeah, that's right.
So, if you've got a few people that are interested, it's worthwhile getting a few more people interested and just getting yourselves connected and start something, because just joining Airstream gives you access to a whole lot more people that have got equipment laying around and people that are willing to get you set up. There you go.
There's 5. A couple of more members just sign up.
There's a
recently.
few people that are trying to
There's
connect
one-
in. They're
one
completely
member signed up
separate.
Recently, that's in Mount Barker.
I think we used to have an internet VPN to them just to give them some basic access to the rest of Airstream so they could
Yeah.
IRC and tracer out.
And there's also a node in Victoria.
Yeah, there's a guy in Victoria that preferred to join up with us because we were a whole lot more helpful than any of the people.
Oh, that's right, that's north.
And then we also
So-
here with the Perth Wireless Network and also possibly Melbourne Wireless as well. I think.
Used to, it's not active at the moment.
Yeah, at some point we did.
So there's plenty of other ways you can get connected, but not necessarily back into the main network yet unless we can get enough stuff going around. So get your friends signed up, join up your little group, get the word spread, find someone that's out in the paddocks there, and you'll be online.
That's a paddock. He's
Done.
going to have talent on, I think.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
If
There we go.
your friends will become members, you can get the support of people helping you with the documentation of that to get it done. If
Yeah.
you're not experiencing something particular, whether it's putting up a mask or doing networking or whatever the routing. So
That's it.
that's what we're here for.
Beautiful. Well, I guess I'll hand back
Thanks,
over to you, Troy, without tripping over your cables.
Yeah. That's excellent. Something we did forget to mention is the barbecue, and it was so long ago now. It was actually this time exactly 1 month ago. I didn't realise that it was in between these last 2 meetings. So,
There's photos.
can you bring those up?
Oh, we don't?
I'm sure there is. Yeah, it's on the gallery. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so you would recall from last month we said we were doing a fundraiser at the Office Works on Portrush Road.
There you go.
And how much can you review about that for us today, Tony? It was fairly successful in the end, yeah.
It was, and
There's
they're
3 people.
very keen to have us back there. In fact, they asked us if we could actually come back next day.
Yes, yes.
We weren't prepared for, but they're very keen for us to have more barbecues there because it does create an atmosphere for them as well.
Indeed.
But unfortunately, if we do have another one, we need to have something happening there because otherwise it will be a long day for very little money.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
they need to have a sale or something, or some special case. But I think we'd be keen to have another one there and perhaps even have, if we get enough interest to have a weekend.
Yeah, we do have the option to do both weekend days, so it's really a matter of getting a roster. Again, it wasn't too bad this time. We could have used a few more people probably.
Turned out quite good.
Yeah, last minute people kind of rocked up. It would have helped to know that in advance, I guess. But if we're doing 2 days, we definitely need to know a more stricter kind of roster of who's going to be there.
Yeah, we've also applied for Bunnings at, where is it?
Woodville.
Woodville?
Yep.
So I haven't heard back yet from that, haven't heard back from them yet, but no doubt we'll hear from them when we're in the queue, which should be a very good one according to the
Yeah. That'll be interesting indeed.
Make more money than the other three combined.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we've got to keep trying it, and you know, it may not be a heap of money, but at least it's a little bit more for us to use for a couple of radios, maybe at least at the next site. So between that and Aslan, we're always open to other suggestions for how we can do fundraising. Obviously, your memberships are greatly appreciated, and thanks to all of you who are keeping those renewed and up to date. If you need help with that, contact Dids. He's the man for all membership inquiries, and he's been doing a great job processing everyone as quickly as possible there as well. We've had a little bit of a glitch with the bank account and trying to give people access to that, so if you've made a direct deposit and it's been a bit slow getting your membership processed, we're just blaming the bank for that, so we apologise, but that is getting sorted out. And of course, you know, you've got PayPal and the other options, but they do have an overhead, so we try to discourage using PayPal, though it is easier. They do slug us a couple of dollars every time, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, fundraisers, let us know any other ideas you've got, or sponsorships as well. Aslan is a premier landing event that we run every couple of months, and the guys do a great job putting that together with quality equipment. It's all gigabit and can seat approximately 80 people, I believe, at the current venue. And of course, that is a great opportunity for sponsors as well. So if you're in the IT industry or anything related to gaming hardware and the kind of stuff that people that are interested in computer gaming and LANing would be interested in, get in contact with committee, or at least find some contact details on the website, and let us know if you'd be interested in sponsoring in some way. They, always looking for door prizes. They do a lot of competitions, so prizes for those. If you've got anything specific, we would love to hear from you. So, without any further ado, are there any other things from the floor before we wrap it up online? Any other online questions or anything like that? Yeah, it was a bit quick and easy this time. Again, for meeting content, if you've got a presentation or something you'd like to see or present, we're also very welcome to come down and do that, so let us know.
So about the door prize, they're all going to miss out tonight.
You are going to miss out on the door prize, so much so I'm not going to tell you what it is, because that's why you got to come to these things. But everyone here is waiting for me to announce the winner of the door prize, so we're going to go now. Thanks for watching, and catch us next month, of course. Same place, same time, I'm sure. We haven't got a venue change planned yet, have we, Sean? No, okay. So I'll leave it there. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.